Congressman Greg Murphy, he is a Republican from North Carolina, represents the eastern part of the state, Outer Banks area, I believe, is where you are, and the congressman with us tonight here on the Hill. How you doing?
I'm well. I hope you are.
I'm doing all right. Thanks for being with us. So I sort of laid some of it out there. Canada is the biggest buyer of North Carolina goods. As you've sort of sat back and seen what's happened here over the last month or so, what's the net as you see it?
Yeah, so I think your slide that you had earlier showing how much we are dependent, or rather how much Canada is dependent upon us buying their goods. And this is what's happening over and over and over again across the world. This is why we are really careening towards a true horrible ending for a trade deficit that we have. And so this is why, you know, the president has put in tariffs to try to motivate these countries to knock down some of their walls so we can actually have free trade. It is or fair trade. It is challenging right now. I'm not going to say it's not. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say that it's easy. I'm not going to say it was the easiest path to go on. But I'm hopeful and I'm very optimistic that it will be sooner than later that a lot of these tariffs are going down. We're going to actually get back to good trade.
So what's the challenge and what's the hope?
Well, the challenge is, hey, you know, countries are saying, hey, look, this is not fair. We are bullying us. But the reality is these countries have had tariffs against U.S. goods for a very, very long time. India, Vietnam, a lot of the other countries, Israel, have now come to us and say, you know what, you're right. You're right. The tariffs that we had against American goods were too high. We want to come back and negotiate. You know, President Trump is the negotiator. He starts from A, goes to Z, wants to come back to M. And this is what is happening now.
So I think you had a teletown hall last night, right?
A couple nights ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know sort of the messaging and the questions and the concerns from a lot of folks.
Yeah.
There was not the best of moments for the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, up on the Hill today. He was asked, who pays for the tariffs? This was his response. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question.
Well,
he wants to answer other questions.
Well, Congressman, if the exporters, they dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they? If I think what you're trying to get me to say.
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
It's a very complicated question.
It's kind of not, though.
Well,
right?
yes,
but I guess that gets to the point of the challenge that your side has explaining what this is and why the country needs to go through it if the Treasury Secretary just can't flat out answer.
Well, what I would say is both sides pay it. If the exporter really wants their goods to come across and they know the person on the other side is not going to pay a higher price for it, they're going to eat some of that cost. If, on the other hand, they feel like they're in a good position and they can push American goods push goods on America and America really wants them, then the American pays the cost. So it really depends upon the particular product, depends upon the particular industry as to where it comes from. Again, the whole goal is that we would get rid of tariffs.
One of the things that you are trying to get through is to pass a tax package.
Yeah.
Right? You're on the House Ways and Means Committee. That's the committee that actually starts with writing the tax law. And the thinking for Republicans is, okay, if we can just get to that and pass it, it'll strengthen the argument. It'll strengthen, you believe, obviously the country as well, but sort of help you on that side as well. Last 2 days, I spoke to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and Congressman Don Bacon, and I asked them about voting on the president's agenda, which is get the tax cuts passed, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. Here's what they said, and you'll see why I played this for you.
I certainly won't vote to fund a war in Ukraine, and I certainly won't vote for any tax bill that does not include no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on senior citizens, which is Social Security.
It's very important that we get these taxes extended. If we can find a way to afford no taxes on tips and retirement, I know we're working on it, but it's a matter of how much we can cut to make room for those tax increases.
So right there, you heard we have to get it done.
Yeah.
And then if we have the room to get it done, where are you?
Well, me personally, my number one concern is our debt, our deficit, my number one concern. I know the president has initiatives. We're going to try to meet all those different initiatives. But if we're not able to do it, we're not able to do it. That said, we've had great discussions. Not everything's on the table. Let's put it this way. We have to be able to afford everything. I think we've made a lot of good progress in so many initiatives that the president does want. But at the end of the day, we have to be able to afford this. And plus, we also have to be able to make sure that it is not adding to our debt. Remember, Blake, just one thing here is if we don't renew these tax cuts, 10 million jobs are lost.
Yeah.
We get a $4.5 trillion tax increase. We have to deal with what was done before.
So the Tax Foundation estimates if you just extend it, no tax on Social Security, overtime, and tips, it's basically $6.9 trillion. Are you saying that if it just gets to be too high, then maybe you don't get to all three, Social Security, overtime, and tips?
Well, we can't do Social Security in reconciliation. We can do health, trying to get tax relief for seniors. That's in total. That's if everything is done. If we pare back some of these things while we're still letting the president get his wins, yeah, I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Do you think the president would accept that? Because he was pretty clear out on the campaign trail.
Sure.
I'm going to do all these sorts of things.
Yeah, but when you say no tax on tips, we have to qualify this. What is a tip? Who is eligible to get one? Is your electrician going to come in and say the bill is $200, but it's actually $180 in tip and $20? We have to put real guardrails in there. There also should be some income limits with some of these things. So it's not everything for everybody all the time. We have to do smart policy within these guidelines.
You're convinced this gets done, though, one form or another?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
All right, we'll leave it there. Greg Murphy, Republican from North Carolina.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for being with us tonight.